Good afternoon, everyone. I represent one of the big bad corporate enterprises that some of the earlier speakers referred to. I hope by the end of my 10 minutes, I will show you that I'm actually a good guy. Anyway, my presentation is called Addressing the Challenges of a Changing World. And it is a changing world. We've seen, a lot of the disruptive things that are happening in the industry, all industries really, around the world. Who would have thought that a company like Uber, a company that does not own a single car, is one of the biggest operators of transportation today? Who would have thought that Airbnb does not own a single house or a single room, is one of the biggest operators of hospitality today? A company like Spotify, I use an example, I have a 7-year-old son, and I actually learned quite a lot from him. He's what's referred to as Generation Z today, so Generation Y or millennials are kind of over. But we're talking Generation Z, and to him, the concept of music is he opens up a smartphone or a laptop or a tablet, and he listens to whatever music he has. I live in Germany, so he's brought up in Germany, so he listens to a lot of German music. I'm originally from Egypt, so we kind of try and influence some Arabic into him. So he brings up Arabic music, English music, all from a single source without, to him, not having to pay anything. So I pay 20 euros a month and I have access to unlimited music for my whole family on any device. So it is a changing world, and unless we start adapting to that, we will be disrupted. And we have a saying in our company, disrupt or be disrupted. So from a city's perspective, and this is my area of expertise and area of focus, what is happening in cities? So urbanization, some of earlier speakers have talked about urbanization. Cities, very large cities are either expanding, people are urbanizing, especially if you look at countries like India and China, where it's a huge impact on what's going on. So this poses challenges to city leaders, mayors, and governments on how they address and manage their cities. The things of the past are no longer applicable. We've heard about, smart this, smart that. Some people refer to it as a buzz or a hype and so on. Maybe so, maybe not. But smart everything is a reality. People are trying to do things in a smarter way. The other thing is around the social trends. I talked about Generation Y, Generation Z now. Green, a lot of cities, a lot of places around the world, companies are striving for zero emission, to be carbon neutral. And very, very importantly is the economic trends, the new business models, the new consumption models. I talked about Uber, I talked Airbnb, but also within the city space, how private-public partnerships are becoming the new norm with some of the cities. I was speaking to someone earlier about how some cities in the world are creating a quasi-corporate structure within the city, with a CEO and an executive structure, and the citizens of that city become customers to those cities. So it's a very different mindset. So if you're in the corporate world and you know how you deal with your customers on an everyday basis, their experience, their interaction, their satisfaction, and I'm speaking a little bit later around citizen experience, but it changes the model versus a government that just delivers standard services in a perhaps a non-efficient way. Some of the technology trends that we're seeing, there's mobile, cloud, millions of applications, Internet of Everything. Yes, we do call it Internet of Everything. It is another acronym that I know we're throwing into the mix. However, one of the reasons we did it is some people think of IoT in the same way that M2M was thought of, many years ago when it started. We just want to say that it's not just about connecting the things, it's about what you do when you connect those things. Those things generate data. How do I look at this data? How do I create intelligence out of this data? How do I deliver that data to the right person? And how to manage this entire process in what we call the Internet of Everything. So it's not a radical departure from IoT, but it just brings to mind that it's not just about connecting the things, is what do we do after we connect those things. Security, the earlier speaker talked about security, very, very key in all of this. And I've been doing this for 10 years, and from Santiago to Chile, to Dubai, to Barcelona, to Berlin, one of the main things that's coming, what about security? When I put all of these things, do I really want somebody to go in with their smartphone and change my traffic lights, or access to healthcare data, or access to education data? So security is very key, and it's one of the key things that we, along with our ecosystem, somebody mentioned ecosystem earlier, is very, very key, along with our ecosystem, try to deliver. My colleague, Pierre Guillemot, shared this slide earlier, and this is basically around the IOE piece. You'll notice that data, which is around effectively capturing, storing, and analyzing data generated by the things, is on top of mind of the 1,200 plus respondents that responded to this particular survey or this particular study that we did. So if we look at data, and the traditional way of looking at data, you know, the big data warehouse stories, the big database stories, are what we call data at rest. So you create a transaction, you do something, a copy of that transaction is stored in a database. And now if you want to look at it, you go and look into that database, you extract that information, and you maybe do some analysis on it based on historical data, based on transactional data that happens maybe a few minutes ago, a few seconds ago, depending on how you do your data retrieval. However, in today's IoT or IoE world, things are happening at a much larger scale and a much larger speed than they were in the past. And this is where we start looking at what we call data in motion. So data in motion comes from people. So people are constantly generating data. From sensors, and by sensors I mean really anything, and these are the things. So it could be a camera, it could be a microphone, it could be really anything that generates data, hardware. Social media, a huge, huge input of data. A study was done in some of the cities we're working with, and it showed that a traffic incident, whether it be a traffic jam or a traffic accident or some kind of a chemical spill that happens anywhere, typically it's on social media before any of the authorities know about it by an average of 10 minutes. So if you can somehow pick up on that information that is coming from the people, as a city operator, you would save 10 minutes of operational time, which means better citizen satisfaction, a better operated city, less traffic congestion, and a more attractive city. So, at a very, very high level, what we're looking at for cities is, there were some numbers thrown out there, 1 billion, 25 billion, 50 billion, 75 billion, doesn't matter what the actual number is, but it's large. It's a very, very large number. And in order to get the best out of those devices, in order to extract the data out of those devices, they need to be connected. And this is why we're talking about that foundation layer, which is a foundation of networking and a foundation of connectivity. It doesn't matter what the technology is. Okay, you need to be connected, whether it's through cellular technologies, 3G, 4G, 5G, LTE, wireless, all the different radio technologies that exist out there. You've heard of LoRa, Sigfox, perhaps, some of the new ones that are coming out. It doesn't matter. You need to connect those billions of devices and extract data out of them, which brings us to the most important part, in my opinion, and in our opinion as a company, which is which is this piece, which is a platform. I just came back from a very, very big, perhaps the biggest smart city conference in the world now in Barcelona last week, and everybody that was there was talking about a platform. Platform that does this, platform that does this, platform X, platform Y, platform Z, hundreds of platforms that are out there. And I think that this is the space that's going to define what the future of smart cities is going to be. And it's not going to be one player. We have a platform. We actually have more than one platform. But it's a combination of some of the things we do, some of the things that some of our partners and ecosystem do, maybe some of the things that some of our competitors do. Eventually, I believe we will reach a stage where this platform will be able to deliver the services. Whether they be healthcare services, utility services, energy services, it doesn't matter. You connect the data, you analyze it, you look at it, you visualize it, and then you can offer citizen services. You can plan your city better. You can offer business services which bring additional revenue to the city or the government. And you can run your infrastructure better, whether it be the parking infrastructure, public lighting infrastructure, and so on. So I'm going to use this slide as the beginning of my next presentation in the third session, so I'm running out of time. So I just want to say that This is just another visualization, connecting of all things, visualizing, aggregating, and analyzing the data. It runs here. And then you start offering the services. And a very important piece here, which is the entrepreneurship piece. We partner with lots of startups. We have Cisco, we have a $100 million fund where we fund companies all around the world. We have innovation centers in Rio de Janeiro, in Barcelona, in Berlin, 2 in London, in Singapore, where we encourage startups, innovators to come use some of the technologies that we've developed over the years in order to deliver better service to the cities and to the industry. Thank you very much.